Second, he found that needle is a challenge with a lot of rural women and other things. So he said, can I have something which is completely non-invasive? That means without taking the blood, I know what is the hemoglobin content. Now that's a tough problem. You can just imagine. And can you believe it? That boy has developed that technology which doesn't require taking a prick at all. He just puts it around his finger. In fact, Anu Aga gave away the awards, by the way, this year. And as soon as he came, he had taken that instrument, he just put it around her finger and said, hemoglobin 12.7, you take care. Here is a brilliant example of a person who said, I will not be a part of a problem, I want to be a part of a solution, and he created that. I'll give you the first year's award winner. First year's award winner was Shyam Vasudeva. What did he do? He created what is called as Trinetra. What is Trinetra? You do eye testing, okay? 5 different eye ailments. Diabetic retina, or glaucoma, and cataract, and so on. He created a very sophisticated instrument by which you can determine what's wrong with the eye and do a diagnosis as good as in the 10% of the cost of the sophisticated Western experiment. And that's fine, you will say, so what? But he went beyond that. What happened was that he told me that he had come to Dharavi slums here, and he was trying to do beta testing of the equipment. And what he found was that those people from the slums wouldn't come for eye testing. You know why? Because when you go, you put an eye drop to dilate the pupil, and then what happens? For 3-4 hours, you are very fuzzy. You can't do much. Now, maybe that doesn't matter for all of us, but to that fellow from slum, it matters, because he can't work on that day. He loses that daily wage. Maybe his children go hungry. He said, no, this is not done. Why can I not do that eye test without putting that drop? This was not done. And he said, I will do it. And then he went into the details. Infrared, there was the issue about heating, the filters, costs, and so on. And he went into the infrared, created a sensor, by the way, Kumar, which was very cheap, very effective, and just fitted in, because he had to fit it in the price-performance envelope. Now, today he has a test which is extremely sophisticated and which doesn't use that eye drop. And that matters quite a lot. For example, in villages, because you require another paramedical staff if you are putting a eye drop, because it might have allergy and so on. It does away with everything. This method, which is non-invasive, as well as this method, which is non-invasive. But both of them actually challenge. And I'll tell you the beauty of it. The beauty of it was that in Delhi, there was a Science, Technology and Innovation exhibition where this product was proudly displayed. And Hillary Clinton had come here, actually. And Vilasrao Deshmukh was then alive, Minister of Science and Technology was. And he took her to show this. And you know what was her instant reaction? This is something we have not been able to achieve. This is fantastic. We need it. America needs it. What needs to be done? And I remember he told her that we require FDA approval. She said, I will work with you to get an FDA approval. Point I'm trying to make is that we always thought that they will develop those products and then knockdown versions will come to us. Sorry. This is reverse innovation now. Okay? Ideas. Yeah. By the way, whenever you feel like clapping, give a big clap. I'll tell you why. There are 2 things we don't cost anything. Claps and smile. So, plenty of it. Okay? So, yeah, because it deserves a clap. We are talking about a new India which does not know that it cannot be done. The old India would have thought this is a problem. If they find a solution, we'll wait for it. We said no, we find it, and the rest of the world now is looking for it. Now that is the new change I want to emphasize with the young generation, that this is the new change that is coming up. In fact, it is all getting formalized. Just as we had a Harvard Business Review paper, there was a paper by Jeffrey Melt and Govindarajan in Harvard Business Review. It was called Reverse Innovation. And in that reverse innovation, what he's saying is that previously, the Western world would develop products, okay? Then they will look at the poor world and say, what can they afford? And then start knocking down, and the knockdown versions will come here. He says, exactly opposite is going to happen now. And how does he say that, Jeffrey Melt? Because GE Healthcare in Bangalore looked at the ECG machine, electrocardiogram, which costs around $10,000, very expensive, but they created a portable ECG machine costing just $600. As good. And what are they finding? They are finding markets in Europe and US. You can just imagine. I was in China last year in May to deliver a keynote in the Global Inclusive Innovation Summit, because now inclusive innovation has become a sort of a buzzword. And what did you find? The GE Healthcare there had looked at ultrasound machines, which used to cost something like $20,000, and they have created one for $1,500. Okay? As sophisticated by using. It is not less from less, more from less. Because the performance has to be sort of that. So what is happening is that the sense I'm trying to give you is that the whole world is looking at this wonderful way in which countries like India are innovating, getting more from less for more and more people. Then you might say, oh, this is good for countries which are, resource poor and so on and so forth, etc. But what I'm saying, sorry, these products, if they are high quality, that means if they produce more from less from less products, nobody will buy. But if they are more from less products, the rest of the world will buy it. And the whole world is getting interested in that. Just 2 months ago, I was in South Africa. I was again invited to give a keynote in a conference that was organized by OECD. All rich countries, right? Exclusive club. On what? That was a global summit on inclusive innovation. Why should they be interested? On 3rd April, I'll be in Brussels speaking to the cabinet of the European Union on what? Inclusive innovation. They have invited me. And on the 4th April, in Paris, I'm addressing something like 3,000 sort of senior leaders and others of a big company on what? On inclusive innovation. Now, suddenly, you will say, what is it that is happening? You suddenly find that people are looking at India in a leadership position. Suddenly you find that the dictionary of innovation is changing. 5 years ago, these words did not exist. They are appearing there now, in bold letters. What are they? They are inclusive innovation, they are frugal innovation, they are reverse innovation, they are Gandhian innovation, and they are nanovation. There's an American couple called Freeworks from New York. They have published a book, Nanovation. What do we learn from the creation of nano as a car, which is an aspirational car? You know, it's a high-tech car, by the way. It was wrongly labeled as a cheap car. Sorry, it has 37 patents. 37 patents. There are innovations in that to create, make it fuel efficient and affordable, safe, and the rest of it. You know, it's incredible. And what went behind it, and what can we learn from that? And there's a new segment, nano segment, that is emerging around the world. People had ridiculed initially. In fact, I still remember the Suzuki chairman had said, oh, it must be a three-wheeler to which a fourth wheel is added. Sorry, that was not the case. And who laid that? I mean, people like Girish Wagh, who are just in his mid-30s, coming from not an IIT, from an ordinary engineering college, led a team of 1,000 to create that. That is the power. That's the power of the Indian young. That is the sort of leadership that we have. I think the message, therefore, that I want to leave behind is that the world is changing and India's leadership in this is becoming important. And one of the reasons why they are taking it seriously the following. You have seen the economic meltdown, okay? And you also now know that the age of affluence and abundance in which they lived is going way to age of austerity. Okay? And suddenly these products and services that are affordable but of high quality, that is becoming the sort of new mantra, and that is where the leadership will come. And therefore, I think what we need to say is that we'll walk on those paths where not only excellence but relevance will go hand in hand. Creating this is not creating something cheap and knocked down. It will require making high technology work for the poor, like what Mishkin has done in order to get that hemoglobin content non-invasively. He has used very, very sophisticated technology, like what Sham Vasudeva has done in order that you do not put an eye drop, okay, and yet you get accurate. This thing, he has used very high technology. How do we use such science, such technology to create products which will not only benefit India but for the whole world? I remember somebody asking me as to what is your dream? You know, in that Q&A, all of us, Narayan Murthy, myself, and Ratan Tata were asked in one line, can you tell us what is your dream? They said something, of course, but I said, my dream is to see smile on the faces of 1.2+ billion Indians, each one of them. And that smile will come when you give them sort of access. Among making impossible possible, what you have to also realize is that science leads to technology, technology leads to innovation, right? Innovation is successful exploitation of a new idea. And therefore, linking the three becomes very important. 1958, we had the Science Policy Resolution, Science Policy Statement. 1983, we had the Technology Policy Statement. 2003, we had Science and Technology Policy. But 3rd January this year, the Prime Minister announced the Science, Technology and Innovation Policy. Why? Because there has to be a seamless linkage between the three. Science is creating of new knowledge. Technology actually transforms that new knowledge into something that is applicable, but innovation is the one which moves from mind to marketplace. All right? Because finally, it has to be delivered. It's an ultimate solution that matters. Now, we have done well on the first, but not on the second. Okay? I always say that research converts money into knowledge, but innovation converts knowledge into money. Research converts money into knowledge. Government kept on giving us money and we kept on converting into knowledge. Right? Papers, this, that and the other, etc. Some highly cited, not cited. Some worth writing, some many not worth writing. But knowledge at the same time. So doing that was the easy bit. But doing the second part of it, which is innovation, which was converting that knowledge into money, we are poor at. Raman effect was discovered here. Raman scanners, US. So we created the science, we created the new idea, we converted money into knowledge, but knowledge into money was created up there. Now therefore, the new paradigm that I want to emphasize, and that is why I have been talking about not just publish or perish, but patent, publish and prosper, so that you have the ownership of the knowledge and you create wealth with your ideas in India. You get the point. I think is extremely critical. I mean, if you see the journey that we have taken, J.C. Bose, I mean, I have great respect for him. And Murphy said that iron mercury, iron corer, the platform technology for wireless, he developed it, right? He was the pioneer. Sister Nivedita actually went to him and said, patent it, and he said no, and so on. But who patented it? Marconi. So all of you have been taught in your schools that it is Marconi who discovered wireless. Sorry, that was not the case. That was Bose, 1898. 1998, Basmati. I still remember a Texas company took a patent on Basmati, you know, and created a new variety called Texmati, as they called it. And I fought it. Just like I had fought the wound healing and the properties of turmeric when they were patented, I say, what are you talking about? That is something that is known to my mother's mother, and so on and so forth. How can that be a proprietary knowledge? You know, and again, it was making impossible possible, because when I announced it, in the morning I read the newspaper, Times of India, I still remember, and in the evening I was giving Hussain Zahir Memorial Lecture, and I announced it. Forgetting I am Secretary to Government of India, I was supposed to take permissions from all the ministers and so on, so nothing. I think from here, not from here. And we fought and we won, basically. You know, that was a new paradigm. But it was the same thing for Basmati. You know, it was a big battle, by the way. The first battle was very easy. Basmati was not easy. Why was it not easy? Because they had said, see, you take Basmati, right? And then smells good. We never asked ourselves, what is that smell due to? Okay? They found out what that smell due to was. It was due to 2-acetyl, 1-vinyl pyrrolidone, a special aldehyde. And they said that in our varieties, we have the limits of 100 to 500 parts per billion. And they claim that as one of the things. Then I had to take our Basmati and find out that we also are within that range, and our lineages were very old, and prove that, etc. Why I'm saying that when we say Saraswati and Lakshmi, Saraswati Puja we do, Lakshmi Puja we do, but separately. We don't link Saraswati to Lakshmi. Okay? When I go to Harvard, I see George Whitesides, for example. He's the highest cited scientist in the world. He'll be here now. On 7 and 8 February, he'll be here. Reliance Innovation Council is a member of which I'm the chairman. He will be here. Now, this fellow is the highest cited scientist in the world, but the market cap of the company that he has set up is close to $20 billion. Saraswati to Lakshmi. You get the point? Where are we? And that we cannot have until we realize that we create knowledge, but that knowledge which is monetizable or potentially monetizable, we must own it. And that is why this great awareness about patenting and so on and so forth, etc., becomes extremely important. And therefore, I want to emphasize this point, that we have to have what you might like to call as an innovation ecosystem within which we have to grow. Otherwise, we will do things and we will not reap the benefits of that for India. I mean, Ashok Jhunjhunwala from IIT Chennai, he was a leader, pioneer in wireless local loop. But the technology, his technology, got implemented in Brazil and Madagascar first before it came to India. Why should that be the case? All right? How do we create that? And therefore, in my book on reinventing India, I have actually addressed these issues about how do we create these innovation ecosystems within India. Science-led innovation is going to be extremely critical, because you can see all these as products, but they were based on some scientific breakthroughs that took place at some time or the other. You might say that it doesn't matter, they can do the scientific breakthroughs and we'll develop the technologies, we'll make the money. That's not the case. A country which is not strong in science has no future. Just like I said, education is equal to future, I would say science is our future. Okay? And therefore, I'm very happy to see the investments that are being made in science and technology. The announcements of 2% of GDP going into science and technology is a great news. The expansion of the science system that is taking place is wonderful. I mean, I still remember my presentation to the Prime Minister as a member of Science Advisory Council almost 10 years ago, where I showed what was happening in China and Korea and so on and so forth, and in terms of science institutions and the support. And I said, sir, our Indian Institute of Science in 2008 would be completing 100 years, and for a country of 1 billion, that will be the only one Indian Institute of Science. And that's where the ideas on creating the new Indian Institute of Science, Education, Research actually were built. And I'm very happy there are 5. We require more. All right? But a good beginning has been made. The challenge, again, is going to be coming back to science. So I have talked about science, technology, and innovation as a link, but I finally like to end by bringing science, and I'm sticking to my 45 minutes. I have 2 minutes more just to complete my 45 minutes. I'll not take 1 more minute. I think it is extremely important that the best of minds turn to science. That is our challenge. Best of minds turning to science, and then those minds staying in science. Okay? How do we do that? And I think that is going to be extremely important. How do we do that? How do we excite them? How do we challenge them? I'm very happy to see these Inspire fellowships, which will be touching something like 1 million students to get into this thing. You know, those 5,000 rupees per month scholarships and so on and so forth. Also, with a career path, I think that's a good news. But the most important part is that we have to realize that we don't do science for money. Science may make money, but a scientist actually does it not for physical income. He does it for psychic income. In fact, I remember when I began my career in University of Salford in England, they had said, you don't do teaching, you will only do research. And it used to be such a fun, you know, in the morning you go, in the evening you come, you are flirting with ideas, you are creating things and all. And one day, I remember asking Vaishali, don't you think they are paying me my salary? Should it not be the other way around? I should be paying them. Science as fun. I think that is extremely important. Teachers are going to be important, finally. I turn to science, and let me end by the story which many might have sort of read, but I want to repeat it, just to emphasize the point. How did I turn to science? It was because of Principal Bhave, my teacher, who taught me science, by the way. Everything, physics, chemistry, biology, etc. At that time, you remember? No separate teacher for physics, no separate teacher for chemistry, and so on and so forth. And I went to a poor school. You know, I couldn't get admission in Chikitsak and Wilson and Aryan High School because 21 rupees were needed for admission. And my mother took some 3 weeks to gather that 21 rupees from somebody who was doing some housemaid job in Chopati. It took us that while. So I had lost all admissions. But so I got admitted to Union High School, which was not supposed to be sort of a great school. It was a poor school, but that poor school had rich teachers. Right? And one of them was Principal Bhave, and I still remember how he got us into science. He did not believe in chalk and talk. Like soap. All of you would know how to make soap. How many of you have seen soap factory? Please raise your hands. Not even 1 or 2. 3. Out of this entire audience. But all of you have learned that, glycerin, whatever. You will write even a perfect answer and get 12 out of 10, right? But you have not seen a soap factory. You know what Principal Bhave did? He said, you must see. And he took us to Shivri, the Hindustan Liver Factory, soap making, in tram. Now, tram ticket was 5 paisa at that time, and I was so poor, I even couldn't afford that. He was also poor, but he paid from his own pocket. I remember seeing Wimco factory, you know, Ambernath. That was my first travel by train, by the way. Okay, that was the teacher. And one day, he went into the sun and did showed us wonderful experiment. He had a convex lens in hand. He had a piece of paper. He moved it up and down, you know, and there was a point when there was a bright spot. At that time, he said, well, this is the focal length. And he held it for some time, and the paper burnt. And when it burnt, he just turned to me and he said, like this, if you focus your energies, you can achieve anything in the world. So did two things for me. First, I said, science is so fantastic, I must become a scientist. And second, it gave me philosophy of life. Focus and you can achieve anything. You know, it is incredible how things happen. This is a 1st February email that I received, that is yesterday. This is by Dr. Prabodh Chobe. And what he did was that story I had narrated in my Science Congress speech, by the way. Okay? So he was inspired by that, and he says, you may remember that on 29 July 2010, you're the chief guest for publication ceremony of my 2 books, Bingachi Karamat in Marathi, and it all started with a lens in English. So he had taken that as a theme and created that book, and he says, I'm very glad to tell you that you're the client-basing, I got a state award of rupees 50,000 for my contribution to Marathi scientific literature on the Republic Day. That message, as a matter of fact, so powerful, that was created by Principal Bhave at that time, because it has huge repercussions. And I kept on reinterpreting that experiment, by the way, as I moved forward in life. For example, what does the convex lens do? Sun's rays are parallel. And what are the properties of parallel lines? They never meet. What does the convex lens do? I started calling it convex lens leadership. Despite your caste, religion, and so on and so forth, you bring people together. What do we have? Concave lens leadership. What does it do? What is the simple point I'm trying to make while I'm ending? I'm saying that at the front end, it is the teacher that matters. And therefore, I remember again mentioning to the Prime Minister about a year and a half ago that this country reacts only when there is a national crisis. Let us declare teachers as a national crisis. And by that, I mean, how do we create great teachers in quality and quantity? What can we do for the teachers so that teaching can become a, let's say, first preference for the best and the brightest? And I'm very happy that this suggestion has been taken very seriously. And in the 12th five-year plan, there is a national mission on teachers and teaching that has been basically created, because that is how we are going to build the future India. Let me end here by just saying, in the vein of my own character, that of being a dangerous optimist. I see a fantastic future for India. You will get bothered by what you see, but I don't get bothered, because, you know, in the path of progress, you will always see some perturbation. Don't forget, we are a democracy, all right? And we will move from a chaotic democracy to enlightened democracy as we move along. I have no issue at all, actually, on that. The growth is written sort of all over. There is a big expectation from around the world with regard to India, where they are saying in year 2000 they used to call us a third world country. They are projecting that we'll be the third most powerful country, a third world country to the third most powerful country. And who is going to build it? You are going to build it. You are the future. And therefore, thank you, sir, for giving me the privilege of just having the fortune of looking at you, admiring you, also envying you a bit, because when India becomes that, I wouldn't be there. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You are very gracious. Thank you.
The session is open for questions, so please be free to ask questions.
Yes, sir. I'm Sunil Khandbahale from tiny village of Nasik. Once I had a problem with language. Means I was supposed to give up my education just because of language barrier when I was doing my engineering. Then I developed a dictionary. I compiled it and I developed it. Then I went on developing and compiling dictionaries onwards in 12 languages. And I developed it into in the form of computer software, then online, then on mobile apps and tablets. And I distributed it among, right now there are 20 million users in 150 countries. Everything goes free. Thank you.